Habits 365 Conscious Minds podcast.
All right, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Conscious Minds podcast. For those of you who are new, I'm the host, Chris Holbert, and on this podcast, we talk about everything that will benefit you personally, emotionally, in reality. This is for you. And we are joined with my co-host, the CEO of Habits 365, Eli Zayed. How are you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going? Nice to see you all again. We have a very, very special guest today. It's a kid, Gowie, who is a multifaceted comedian, artist, entertainer, and most importantly, a great guy who I had the chance to connect with almost 4 years ago, which is pretty crazy to me. And now we're here on our second podcast. So yeah, this is awesome. So yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you guys for having me, and yeah, we definitely go way back. I know not to no shade to you, but Habits wasn't what it is today with all the stars wearing the gear and all that other stuff. Like it's really crazy to see how far you guys came. So yeah, it's dope being here. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Gowie. So the first time I had reached out to you was literally an Instagram DM. I was like DMing some people. I was like, oh my God, he answered me like 10 hours after I DM'd him. I was literally in shock. I ran up to my dad. It was like 6:30 a.m. I run up to my dad. I'm like, oh my God, the kid, yeah. He didn't know who you were, but I showed him your profile, everything. I was like, yo, like, I love this guy. He answered me. I was starstruck. So I was like, oh my God, why did he, like, I know I'm cool and everything, but like, why did he answer me? Why, like, I, at the time, just starting a brand, I was just reaching out to people. Like, I did not know the brand would be as big as it is today, but I was still in shock. I was like, this is our first influencer to really like respond to our message and enjoy the clothing and enjoy the message. So I wanted to see if you remembered anything about that. Why did you answer? Why did you want to rock with the movement?
To be honest with you, with me, I like when people approach me professionally, because I feel like I think people look at certain situations or they look at certain people and they say like, oh, I can just send him a link and see if he'll click on it. But I like your approach, like the way you DM me. You were like, hey, and I think at the time you were like, what, 16?
15.
15, yeah. So at the time,
He's a youngin', man.
so at the time he was like 15. He was like, yeah, I'm 15. I started my own clothing line. I'm trying to, be an entrepreneur type of stuff. And I was like, that's real cool because not only is he super young, but he's ambitious. So I was like, a 15-year-old that wants, that's just trying to get recognition. Let me just holler at him and see what's up. And that's really what it was. I think your age, your age is what really sparked it. I was just like, he's young and really trying to get it this early. So
you expect that type of hustle. You've been there. I mean, you got stuff from somewhere. So it's like, why not try to help this guy out, see how it goes from there,
Exactly, because when I was 15, I was just outside playing football or basketball with the homies. I wasn't even thinking about trying to start a business or, all that other stuff. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I don't even think I had my first job in high school. So, like, yeah, I think I got my first job in high school at like 16. So the fact that you were 15 trying to be an entrepreneur, I was like, oh no, like I got to.
Of course. And little did I know, like, this would be. I work on this every day. This is like literally a job from home.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because it's an online endeavor. So I don't have to leave my house for this, if that kind of makes sense. No, but I mean, I did not know it would be. I'm not calling it the biggest brand in the world, but I think it's definitely up and coming for sure. Especially for
gotten better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, but like you said, like you always have to start somewhere. So seeing where you were and how excited you got from my response, and then a few years later, I'm seeing people like Floyd Mayweather wearing your stuff.
Harden, all your favorites.
Yeah, James Harden. I'm like, bro, like everybody is hip now. So it's like it's cool. Like a part of me takes pride in being kind of like that first guy. But it's just like to see the progression and just see how far the brand has expanded. It's just real cool to see.
Right. Yeah, and, 100%.
Yeah, I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen your page, bro. You're in so many different industries, and that's what is actually like it's so cool because a lot of people try to focus on like one thing.
Mhm.
or they try to jump around and they just don't know what direction. But it seems like you got a pretty good grip on everything you've been doing, which is
Yeah.
awesome. So take us kind of through like that kind of process. Like, how do you get into like writing songs and like going crazy on your Instagram and all these different things you've been doing? Just take us through that.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like everything that I do on my page now are things that are a part of me. I started making music, or I tried to start making music at like 13. And so I've always been into rap and I've been rapping since then. So one of the smartest things that I felt like I should do is try to incorporate it into my skits. So I started doing parodies. Then I started doing basketball parodies, and people love those. As far as the rants, I just love to crack jokes on people, so that's why that became a thing and different things like that. So everything that you see on my page is pretty much just a part of my personality. And in order to showcase that, I felt like it would be best to just put it in video form so people can really gravitate to it and understand this is who I am.
Oh yeah, absolutely, bro. And like that stuff's, bro. I've seen some of the parodies. I'd be laughing so hard. So yo, I saw one about there was people like hating on you, and you start like just going after them, like just all
Yeah.
this
Let me
different
get these
stuff. Like you
jokes.
got just so much going on, bro. Like I respect the grind. I respect it, bro. It's
Hey,
mad fun.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's funny because like I said, the funny thing about me is that if people really know me, I really do rant a lot. And it's like
Yeah.
it's not like as far as like a Kanye West rant, but it's like there are little things where I just be like, bro, like why is this a thing? And then I'll talk about it. And then it's just like, matter of fact, let me start doing videos of this just to see if anybody else feels the way that I feel. And it's
And
funny because
you
people
have all
always
these
be like,
people. Yeah.
yeah, people like, yo, he's keeping it real. So I was like, all right, so I'm not crazy. Like people actually
Yeah.
feel this way. They just don't want
Yeah.
to say it.
No, like
Your opinion goes a
you're,
long way. You know, people gravitate towards that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're always speaking facts on literally every platform. I swear to God. Like, and everyone I see obviously there are haters for habits for you. Obviously,
Anywhere.
that's part of that means you're doing something right. But I don't see that like all the comments I always go through like facts, 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 like and don't miss. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's funny because like my dad told me the same thing. Like my dad, he's a real comment watcher. So like he loves my content, but he gets most of his joy when he reads the comment section.
Yeah,
And he talks about like how it seems like I get way like the balance between, well, the ratio between support and hate is just so far.
yeah,
I may get like, a handful of hate comments, but
yeah.
like the
It's not
majority
a
of
lot
it is
though.
always love. Like 90%, 95%, something like that is
Yeah,
all love. So
definitely.
that's one thing that I do take pride in, and I really that's one of the main reasons why I consider my followers or supporters like family, because it's like they do support me and are a big part of why I was able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished up to this point. So
Mhm.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, as an entertainer, you always got to give back. You know, you can't make it without them, and you know
Fact.
they love your content too. So it's kind of a two-way street, which is sick. You know.
Exactly.
and you're always replying to comments, which I find really authentic. Like that's something about you that stands out from the rest of these influencers, if you kind of know what I mean by that. Like,
Hmm.
because most influencers aren't always taking time to read comments and really give an authentic response to fans. So I think that's a really that's one of the things about you that I like the most and admire the most for sure.
And it's funny because like, and not to toot my own horn, but I was doing this before like Instagram changed their algorithm and you had to start replying to comments in order to
Exactly.
keep
Yeah.
the engagement going. Like this is just what I was doing because like you said, like I like the genuine discussion and just the reaction that people have, like, oh my gosh, he responded to me. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, like you're under my comments leaving a comment, and whether you're showing love or showing hate, like
You're
give me
gonna
a
respond
response,
either
let you
way.
know that I've seen it. Like
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
yeah, it's real cool, man. I'm as far as my DMs go, I used to respond to like majority of my DMs, but once you get verified, certain people start DMing you, and this is like, like
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's a lot of hoopla. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah, it's too
there's
much.
Mhm. Once
there's
you
a
get
lot.
yeah, because obviously we got verified at very similar times.
Yeah,
We got verified like a year ago. You not too long ago. Yeah, the DMs really start to get crazy. I get these. Obviously, I'm not going to say it here, but I get some crazy messages sometimes. People just think, oh, they're verified now. Let me mess with them or whatever. I'm just like, oh,
exactly. Like I have somebody right now that keep tagging me in IG stories, like, oh, the kid Gowie is this, that, the kid Gowie's this, that, and I'm like, I'm not sure if they think I'm going to block them, but it's just like I see it. I'm not going to respond to it, but I see it. So it's just funny because it's just like, to go out of your to take time out of your day to do that just lets you know that you really just want a reaction. And
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I view that as like being like a super fan because you wouldn't
Oh,
do all of that.
no,
No one
that is a super fan. Yeah,
Yeah,
No,
it's
literally
weird.
though.
they want your attention, right? Like,
That's all they want.
That's all it is, bro. At the end of the day.
yeah, seriously.
But yo, so like you're at the point you are today, right? And like you have to do probably you probably have to hunker down on some things, like
Mhm.
kind of like have a kind of a plan almost like on how to get step by step to where you are today. So obviously Habits 365 represents, like developing good habits, and it kind of determines your success in a way.
Mhm.
So what habits have you kind of developed that propelled you to get to where you are currently?
Mm. Uh, some of the habits I've developed is it's funny. I would probably say like self-awareness.
Mm,
I think you really have to be aware of yourself and the type of emotions that you go through,
yes,
what
sir.
motivates you, what brings you down, and you got to kind of surround yourself with like positive energy because I think that a lot of people overlook the fact that you have to be in a good mindset in order to put out quality content. Um, and not even just that, but also to just even want to be on social media in general because we all know how
Yo,
exhausting social media can be,
Great, it's
whether
crazy.
it's
that's fast.
political stuff, a bunch of people putting opinions on things. Like you could upload a picture of you and your family. There's going to be random hate comments in there. Like, so it could be real exhausting. So self-awareness is a big thing. I think the pandemic really helped me a lot when it comes to really learning myself
Mhm.
because we were stuck in the house just doing
Exactly.
nothing. So
Yeah,
it's
it's like what else do you do?
kind
It's
of
like,
like you really just sit there and you self-reflect like, oh, like this is something that that triggers me, this is something that motivates me, and you just try
yeah,
to apply it to your everyday life.
yeah. You get literally so aware of your thoughts, and I agree because, bro, I'm down that same path. Like self awareness is definitely the biggest thing
Yeah,
because like once you see this like thought patterns that you have, you become your own advocate to change that type. Like say you're thinking negative stuff, you obviously gonna try to change that because you know that's not gonna lead you down the path you want to.
exactly.
So like that's what's up because I'm all about that.
Yeah,
And
So
that's the best part. Like I'm glad you mentioned that because it's like once you're aware, like it's obvious, but like self-awareness is really
yeah,
being aware of yourself. So like you said, in a
hmm
situation to where you find yourself having negative thoughts, you can actually pinpoint like, oh nah, I'm tripping. Like this isn't everybody around me that's like trying to weigh me down. This is me
yeah,
tripping because I'm in my own head. So
yeah.
you're able to decipher what you're doing to yourself from what other people are doing to you. It makes it much easier to correct that.
Yeah, and like you said, like being in the right environment too. I think that's one of the biggest things too, because your environment it can literally influence how you think too. Because you're surrounded by like all that negative energy, you're gonna tend to have negative thoughts because of that. Like you gotta put yourself in that like right environment so you can prosper. I mean, your environment's like your ceiling. If you're not in the right environment, it's hard to move past that. So getting yourself in that right environment, like you said, I think that's a great point. Like for
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
100%.
No, it's all about self-reflection and really this is going to sound corny, but it's really becoming the best version of yourself because
Or the better version.
that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, and that's the like, once again I say a lot of people kind of overlook that. I think a lot of people look to find an excuse or why they're stagnant, or they try to find a
Mm,
reason why they don't have motivation. But it's like it's really just you. There's a lot of things that you can correct, whether it's cutting those toxic people out of your life, or maybe it's just instead of taking that that nap that you want to take after work, apply that time to your side hustle. That can take you a step closer. So it's very little things that you can change, but you have to really see it for yourself and realize that this is something that you're doing and not somebody else.
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
that's super important. So we to move topics, we want to talk about some NBA. Obviously, pretty crazy finals we're seeing.
Yeah,
Bucks are one win away from their first NBA title in a long, long time. Obviously, Giannis and the squad one game away. So what are your thoughts on the finals? Obviously, it's been pretty entertaining, at least for me.
Yo, who do you think the key factor is specifically for the Bucks? Because
Whew.
I got an opinion about that. People overlook certain players. I just want to see who you think the key player is.
To be honest with you, well, first I'm gonna answer the first question. I think the finals has been great. It's been
Yeah.
entertaining. Uh, the games that look to be, blowouts, because it looked like the Suns were on
It
fire.
was,
What was
oh my
that?
God, I thought
Game
the game
five?
was they were up to almost 20 in the first.
Yeah, so it's like they they were up, and then it was just like Bucks came back. So that resilience,
And
and
then they
that's what
did
really
it.
makes basketball. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what makes basketball is like that resilience is what makes it entertaining because it's just like, oh, this is going to be a close. I mean, this is going to be a bad night. Let's turn the game off, but then you turn back on the game, and the Bucks take the lead, and it's crazy. So as far as that, I think it's been everything that we wanted it to be. The series got tied 2-2, then Bucks end up taking the lead after being down 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Stealing a game
wild.
at home too.
yeah. So that's the craziest thing. So as far as the X Factor, I felt this way over the past few years, but I always felt like the X Factor for the Bucks was Chris Middleton. And the
Oh,
reason
Chris
why I say it
Middleton.
was Chris Middleton is because we know what we're getting from Giannis.
Yeah, every night.
Eric Bledsoe when he was there and Drew Holiday while he's there now, they do play important roles. But I really think it's up to Chris Middleton because when he has a great game, the Bucks seem to win.
Yeah,
And it's not to
That's
say that
facts.
it's not to say he's the leader of the team, but it's just like Giannis has a skill set to where he's so dominant that
it's
we know what
every
we're going
night.
to get from
Yeah,
him. Yeah, it's an expectation. You know what Giannis is going to bring.
It is,
Chris
yeah.
Middleton, he gets iffy in moments. One
Mhm.
one game he's playing like Kyle Kuzma, then the next game he's playing like
Jordan.
Michael Jordan. So it's like you want to have more consistency from him.
Yeah.
And it's once again, it seems like when he performs well, the Bucks win. When
Yeah.
he doesn't, the Bucks lose. So
That's
I think he's the X factor as far as the Bucks' success goes.
yeah. No, I
I
definitely.
mess with that. Because I see him, like, not to make comparisons. I saw your comparison, like, with Devin Booker and Kobe Bryant, but
Yeah.
not to make comparisons, but I feel like Giannis and Chris Middleton's kind of like LeBron and Dwayne Wade in a sense, where when both of them go off and play well together, that's when they're at their best. And then you have your supporting cast that kind of follows them and like can contribute in their own way.
I think
Yeah.
that's a small stretch, but I get your point.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like, I'm not saying they're like
No,
that.
they're
But, you know.
definitely in their role, in their respective roles. I agree.
Yeah.
Like they're both the engines of the team. When they're both going, when they're both killing it, they're gonna win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and I think that can be said for most duos. It's just like you're a duo for a reason. So it's like Kobe and Shaq, or anybody else like KD, Kyrie, whoever you want to compare. But it's like situations like this, you need your two most important guys to go off. And
Yeah.
we can say the same thing about the Suns. Devin Booker and Chris Paul have to be absolutely great in order to
Both
get
of
these
them.
W.
Both of them. Yeah.
Chris Paul, he's had iffy turnovers late in games, but even if you look at his numbers throughout the series, he's averaging about like 21 points and
Yeah.
9
Still
assists on
great numbers.
4%. Yeah.
It's those
So
not. It's those numbers not on the stat book that are a little.
yeah, and that's the thing because we know with sports context matters. So you can't just look at the box score and be like, "Oh, he's playing great." What are y'all talking about? It's like
Yeah.
there's small.
Passes, turnovers. Because
Yeah.
sometimes when a player passes the ball to someone else and they step out of bounds, it depends on the circumstance. That's the turnover for the player that stepped out of bounds. That's not a turnover for Chris Paul. I say that because I saw a lot of Chris Paul passes in Game 3 and Game 4 that were very iffy, and
Yeah.
he didn't
Mhm.
get counted for the turnover on those. So just stuff to look at. But
Once again, context matters. So yeah, it's situations like that. So if he brings his A game, D Book brings his A game. Because I think in the first two games that they won, games 1 and 2, I think combined they put up 113 points. And if I'm
Wow.
not mistaken, that's the most points that a duo has ever put up in the first two games of the NBA Finals.
yeah,
So you go from that, and now we find ourselves in a position where the media is questioning, Chris Paul's legacy. And it's like, damn, it's crazy how you go from that.
How do you do that to CP3, man? Like, come on, bro. I've been watching forever. You've been killing it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's just crazy to me how Booker can literally score 40 in 2 games and lose both of those games. That's just like mind-boggling to me. But I mean, it's basketball, so a player he had 70 years ago and they lost. But much different circumstances, but you know what I mean by that.
Oh no, I get you, and that's why you have to have that second guy, like you said, clicking. They're both clicking on all cylinders
Right.
because it's like when you have that reliable help. And it's not to say that Chris Paul isn't reliable, but
No.
when Chris Paul is at his best, there's no way they losing if they're both
Oh
at their
no,
best at the same
yeah,
exact time.
yeah. I totally agree with that.
No, that's facts. Yo, so I always end it off with like this like philosophical question because I like to see just where people's minds at. You know, you've accomplished a lot, and I'd like to see kind of like what you think about this type of question. So the question is the most important purpose in life to find happiness or to pursue it?
Uh, that's a good question.
I
That's
know, bro. Like I really had to think hard about this when I asked it to myself. Like, dang, like that's
because
tough. Like,
you don't want to sound corny by saying like it's sort of like love. So like people say like you got to find love, find your true love, this that. But it seems like when you search for things, you don't find it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you gotta
Yeah.
let it come to you. You gotta let the happiness come to you. Now, can you?
Can't force it, right?
Yeah, you can't force it. So, for example, for me, before this social media stuff, I was working in the warehouse. Body was tore up, like my knees was hurting, rotator cuffs, all that stuff. So, my body was aging. I'm just like, bro, like this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
But then I knew what made me happy. Creating content made me happy. So I was like, okay, let me continue to create content, see where it takes me. So you can do that, step in the direction of something that you know makes you happy. But as far as actually trying to find happiness, I think that's difficult because you never really know what makes you happy until it makes you happy.
Yeah, it almost like calls to you. Like
Yeah,
I always say, like, yo, I'll see like a fat piece of like pizza, just say, and it's like, yo, that's calling my name. Like I'm so hungry. I'm supposed to be eating that right now. You know, like that's kind of you with like content creation. Like it literally, like,
right.
it's almost like a calling. Like that kind of just like you're supposed to do that, and it makes you happy too. So you almost attracted it like it was supposed to be. You know, it's like kind of meant to be. It's like that type of thing.
And that's a great comparison because I love pizza. So it's if I see a slice of pizza, I was actually at a watch party, Baron Davis's watch party, and we literally just came from a restaurant. And I'm sitting at the party, and it's just boxes of pizza just sitting there. I was like, you know what? I'm
God.
getting
Yeah,
Those be slapping, yo.
I'm going over to that. Like,
Bro, a good pizza, you can't miss with it. You can't.
Oh yeah, you can. You always got to get it, especially in New York.
New
I
York,
love
New York pizza, yep.
It's a wrap.
Oh my gosh,
Gowie, I know when you're in New York, you get the pizza. I know it.
that's all I get. That's all I get. Nothing else.
Only the best. Only the best.
Yep.
All right, yo. So I think that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, no,
It was
again,
great talking to
yeah,
you,
it was
bro.
awesome having you on. Obviously, awesome to see our relationship growing in both our respective fields. And yeah, well, let's keep this thing going. So,
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. It's cool to, I was like I said, I was one of the first people in the habit, so it's cool to be one of the first people on the podcast.
yep,
So,
exactly.
we'll
Yeah,
see where you
There
take
it
it.
is.
Like I
And
said,
make sure to follow him, the Kid Gowie, right? That's
yeah,
that's the Instagram tag. Make sure to
Yeah.
follow him. I mean, he's got
I
great
caught
content.
his t-shirt. Very
come
soft,
on now.
very
It's
comfortable.
only entertainment.
Really entertaining.
All right, well,
Not too
yeah, no,
financial
this was great. So yeah, thanks a lot again, and we will see what's next to come.
All right, appreciate you.
All
All
right,
right,
see
yo.
you guys later.